All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you all stand, I'd appreciate it. The pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Thank you. All right, I'll look for a motion on the approval of the minutes. Do I have a first? Paul, thank you, sir. Second, Ed, appreciate it. Any discussion on the minutes? Everybody had them? If not, look for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Moving on to resolutions of the day. We've got the first one is appointing some members to our Oswego County Soil and Water Board. I think everyone has seen who these members are. I know Legislator Chesbro is one of these folks, and she is going to be abstaining from this vote. Actually, let me look for a motion to discuss.
I make that motion.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Roy. All right. If no discussion on this, again, we do appreciate those who are willing to serve on our Soil and Water Conservation Board. It is, again, Legislator Chesbro, Legislator Lockwood, and Sandra Tory-Bell. And if no further discussion, I'll look for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? One abstention? All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. Jumping on to the second of the day is a resolution authorizing Oswego County Legislature to act as the lead agency for a seeker review process for our Oswego River project. Again, as a reminder, this is the rooftop boat launch project that we've been working on for a couple of years here. Obviously got put on a little hold like everything else did. Director Turner, actually, let me look for a motion.
I'll move it.
All right, Roy, thank you. Do I have a second? Paul, thank you. All right, Director Turner, if you want to just give us a quick update on here. I know the seeker process is something we do on a lot of our projects, so.
Yeah, this is just procedural. We have to officially request to the various interested in participating agencies that we are the appropriate agency to review this and declare the impact to bank. And of sending letters out to the various parties, asking them if they concur. Back to anyone, but it's part of the process.
Sure. So this is just procedural part of the New York State Environmental Review Act, and we have to officially request from other participating, involved, interested agencies the opportunity for us to be the lead agency and make a declaration about the impacts, if any, for this project.
So just a procedural next step in the project. I know, again, like we said, it is on hold a little bit. We have, I believe, contracted with an agency to help us work on the design of that. But and at this point, the plan is still to have local share be predominantly in-kind services.
Correct.
But in a little.
Yeah. So the design's done, the environmental review's done. We could go out to bid at any time. We didn't because everything got put on hold last year. We're not sure what the final cost will be until we do go out to bid. And if that at that point it's more than what we have budgeted, we'll have the opportunity, hopefully in a CFA round this year, to seek additional funds to help support that.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any questions? Legislator Schott.
Are there any additional liability issues on our part in being the lead agency?
No. Someone has to be the lead agency in the environmental review. We've done the review. Our engineers have completed it. We have a finding prepared, and we just have to officially ask the other parties like the DEC, the Canal Corporation, the DOT, because it's on a state highway. We have to ask all of them, do you care? City of Oswego also, do you care if we're the lead agency since it's on our property and we've already got this work done? If you object, you need to send us back something in 30 days saying you object. Almost always, you never hear a response from anybody indicating that there's no objection.
Did we receive the money for the grant, or is it pending?
So we've done some work and we've got some reimbursement for that. You only get partial reimbursement for these activities. But then we put it on hold. So until we spend more money, we won't be seeking any new reimbursement. So yeah, the money comes in. It like most state grants, you spend the money and then you get reimbursed.
But the understanding, Legislator Shaw, I think your question, the understanding is that the funding is still available and the reimbursement will still be available upon expenditure. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Nothing. Thank you, sir. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. And then our last resolution of the day is requesting the rescinding of New York State fiber right-of-way fee.
Yes, this is a resolution that was brought up at NISAC, the New York State Association of Counties. And what it is that, as we all know, we're trying to get better fiber throughout the state. However, the state has then said that if the companies go across state line, on state land, they have to pay a fee. So it's kind of a, oxymoron here. The state's telling you to do it, but by the way, we're going to charge you. So NISAC came up with a resolution wanting to say, no, rescind that fee. This is ridiculous. We want the fiber. Let's not make it difficult. Let's not make them have to jump through another hoop. The only thing that I would say in here, and it has been discussed, is that perhaps if this committee is okay, is that we make it a little bit more personable, is down into the last whereas in rural counties of the North Country, instead, they have it be in the rural countries of New York State to make it more inclusive and not just any particular region. So before we go to full ledge, if it's okay if we tweak that.
Bill.
If we want to do that, can I suggest also that the first is second line, second to the last line, and the first is expansion of fiber network.
Yeah.
Could Phil speak into the microphone if we're going to amend,
I'm sorry, Roy, I forgot. What I suggested is that there's another part of this resolution where the North Country is called out specifically, and that's in the first resolved. And I suggested that the second to the last line in that read, expansion of fiber networks in New York.
Sure. I think it makes a lot of sense too, because again, this is a state law that we are looking to rescind, right? Is it a policy or a law?
It's a proposed law.
Okay, thank you. So I'll look for a motion. Legislator Shesbro, thank you. Motion, do I have a second? Marie, thank you. Legislator Schatz. All right, any further discussion, any questions? I think it makes a lot of sense. We've been talking quite a bit, even over the last year specifically, about being able to be wired up, right? To have our technological infrastructure be set up in a way where, the folks at home can utilize it. Being a rural county, we know very well how difficult that can be. So I think I fully support this and think it makes a lot of sense. Is there any other discussion? Director Turner.
Not on the resolution or the amendment specifically, but on the topic. We will be starting our community broadband survey May 1st. And I'll have more specific information for you about how to get your constituents interested and help them participate in that. It's going to be the most important part of the broadband work that we've done so far. I did bring a couple of maps today that will show you some of the work that's been accomplished so far with respect to identifying and mapping the various areas where there is different kinds of service. And then there's also some areas that were awarded funding to various companies, some of which the work has been done and some has not. So we're looking at opportunity and trying to find there's very small eligible areas that we can get funded. And we'll be at a point at the end of the summer to be able to identify exactly where we have eligible opportunity to fund new development. And the process will probably be through a bid or an RFP to various companies to come in and fill those gaps.
Great, thank you. And I know we've been talking a little bit about the federal funding that's coming down the road here for municipalities and the county specifically to do types of infrastructure, but also more specifically to deal with areas where we've been negatively affected because of COVID. So yeah, that would be another area I think there could be some potential funding down the road we could talk about too. So, all right, wonderful. Thank you for that update. Do we have any other discussion on this resolution?
We have to vote on the amendment.
All right, so the motion was then for the amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Let's vote on that first. Do we, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
I'm assuming that was Lag and he is in favor. Is that correct, Legislator Rehill?
That's correct.
All right, great, that passes. So back to the amended resolution. Do I need a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, ma'am. And then if I have a second? Second. Thank you, sir. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion further? No? Look for a vote. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, excellent. Thank you, everyone. So those are our resolutions for the day. We have a couple updates. Director Turner, I know you gave us a little update on that. Is there more that you wanted to share? On goings-ons at the Community Development Office? Planning?
Goings on most recently have been requests from our congressional representatives to submit some ideas for projects that may or may not be funded through an earmark opportunity. Congress did away with pork barrel or earmark or member item spending about a decade ago. And it appears now that there's some advantage in Washington to put this back together. I think it's an effort to create a better bipartisan working relationship among the members. But we were approached by both of our congressional representatives to submit some projects of priority within a small scope of agencies and programs that these funds are available in. So we sent a request to Congressman Katko last week, and we'll be preparing similar requests to go to Congresswoman Tenney over the next week as well.
That's great, Dave. Have you reached out to any of the legislators to directly see if there's any interest in their local municipalities for projects? Does that make sense?
It's not our option to offer somebody an invitation to something that was a personal invitation to us. I know that Congressman Katko has reached out to some municipalities. I don't know if he's reached out to all, but it's really, it's their program. I think we'd be overstepping our authority a little bit to offer to somebody else, why don't you get a hold of Congressman? Because if he wanted to involve them, I think he would have.
I think I was more asking, do we have a knowledge of projects that are looking to go forward, but maybe are short on funding in some of our local municipalities that, I don't know that we would keep a book of that, but is that a communication that you have maybe with those towns and villages?
So there is the one project that we've been working on with the town of Schuylkill and the village of Phoenix. And we included that on our list because the agencies that would fund something like that were on the list. There's the list of approved agencies and programs was fairly narrow, and I'm not sure that within that there'd be a lot for local municipalities outside of like water and sewer.
I know we've been working with the shared services projects as well. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
Right.
if I can chime in.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, we do have 3 years of shared service project lists that mostly the projects that are in the waiting stages are wastewater and water service projects that are so expensive the towns, it's very difficult for them to get the capital together. But I think with the American Rescue Plan money coming, that geared, or part of it geared towards wastewater, they may have an opportunity there. So this congressional funding is separate from that and doesn't have the criteria that it has to be somehow related to pandemic So projects that weren't related to pandemic fit better into the congressional. Those projects from the shared services may be able to be funded now through that federal one, once we get the guide.
That's great.
So we submitted infrastructure, public safety, a couple of social service initiatives. And I think there was a total of 11 projects that Phil called the department heads together a week ago Monday. And we only had a week to put this together. So the appropriate department heads that were related to the agencies where funding was available did their individual brainstorming within their department, submitted projects to Phil and I, and then they were put in the proper form to submit, and then given to the congressman last Friday.
That's great.
And I do want to add, they were submitted to myself, Dave, and the chairman, the three of us.
Right.
Kind of bird dog this. Dave did a lot of work in a short period of time. I think.
Yeah, I know that was a quick turnaround, so appreciate the efforts that were done for everyone in that. I know I'd had a question. Go ahead, sir.
Morning, Dave. Thanks for your report. Just a couple of things. One, I wanted to acknowledge and maybe have you expand upon the fact that you're losing a senior planner.
I did lose a senior planner, yeah. Very sad, newest member of our staff, and his fiance is in the healthcare field, and his family and her family both have family in the Philadelphia area, and to be closer to them, they decided to move. Not surprisingly, he found a job immediately. We miss him already. He's only been gone a week or so, but I'll be asking the chairman sometime soon to get permission to fill that spot.
Thanks. And then to follow up, is your department completely back to work from any of the remote work conditions that were set up because of the pandemic? Fully back to
So we only had a few who were remote. One was kind of based on the size of the work area and the fact that the state had put a waiver on the work that this individual was doing. So we actually loaned him out to the health department during the time, and then he would most of his work was in the field anyways, so he would just report in like one day a week here, and then a couple days at the health department and the other days in the field. So kind of a modified remote assignment. We did also allow this planner, who I just lost, to work from home because at the time his fiance was working in the neonatal unit at Upstate Medical Center. And the combination of the sensitivity of her work area and the fact that Tim could do almost everything at home that he could do here in the office, with the exception of plotting some maps and using the certain software, which he would then come in here and work on. So to protect him from an environment that he might take home to his fiance, who then might take it into the neonatal unit at Upstate, we gave him permission to work from home, but he was just transitioning back when the move came. So pretty much everybody else was on occasion work from home. Janet probably is more frequent than others. She can do her work from probably anywhere in the world. And most of the time, her work from home would be planned, like recently in the last 6 months. Hey, we're supposed to get a foot of snow tomorrow. I'm taking my laptop kind of going to work from home. Is that okay with you type of arrangement? So we had very little full-time remote workers during the last year.
And then I just assume the intention is eventually to have everybody back in the building.
Correct.
Thank you.
Oh, hurry, go ahead.
Dave, question, could you define what a planner does?
So Tim's responsibility, let me just use him as an example. He was in charge of this project that was going on along the river. So he was in contact with the Department of State with respect to the grant and reporting. He was in contact with the engineering firm. He also was the main person to do local land use reviews, what we call 239 reviews, because they're required under General Municipal Law, Section 239. So he would interact with all the communities on, what was recent. We've reviewed a lot of zoning amendments, solar activities. He was the one that drafted the model solar law at the request of the chairman to distribute to the communities, because we're getting requests all the time for people who wanted a moratorium, that wanted to add zoning language for solar. They wanted to have people who didn't have zoning wanted to try to find a way to control solar. So Tim was working on that project. He also was the manager of the snowmobile grant program and interacted with the state and all the clubs on that program. And that's, even though it's a seasonal opportunity for people to enjoy, the work goes on year round with mapping of the trails and reports that are due throughout the year, and approvals for trail additions, and the two different funding periods where there's, so the clubs do all their information. They have to send it to us. We have to put it into our form because we're the recipient of the grant. So we have to coordinate everything from the local clubs into the county, put it into a county form, submit it as the grant requester, and then work with the state to try to get the reimbursements and the designation. So that's a pretty labor-intensive program. Even it's a winter exercise. It goes on year round.
One last part, Dave, refresh me, the river launch, boat launch project was that $110,000 or $15,000? How much did we originally receive?
Yeah, the grant is approximately in that range. It's a little over 100, maybe 120-ish.
Do all these grants combined in the course of a year justify planner?
Well, we have different projects that different planners are working on. The one I have left, Karen, she has picked up some of what Tim was doing, but she also was like and still is, I think of her more as our environmental side of the planning. So anything that's going on, for example, with the Dune Coalition, Lake Ontario programs, Great Lakes Resource Initiative, brownfields, environmental reviews that would come to us. She would partner with Tim on doing those. And also a lot of the GIS related things. So for the census, she was very involved in that. We start, as an example, the census count, the census response activities occur in the decennial year. So last one was 2020. And our job starts about 2 years before that, as we go through and we have to review and report on all the municipal boundaries. And like there's just dozens of forms that you do 2 years ahead of time and working up to when the census count actually starts. So Karen's always had that responsibility. Also, the redistricting, which will be coming up soon. GIS, we rely heavily on her ability to pull in programs from our GIS provider that will allow us to look at each of the various districts once the new census counts are in and the new census boundaries are established. That'll be sometime, we're told, towards the end of this year that we'll have the new census data. Then we'll have a very short period of time in order to review and determine, you'll actually be the ones to determine whether or not we need to do redistricting. And it'll be based on how much any particular district has changed. Last time the legislature asked us to redistrict the whole county. We won't know if that's necessary until we see the results of the count. And that's a pretty tedious process, but she'll be heavily involved in that. And then also we've done a lot of projects over the last 5 years where there's been money available to plant trees and shrubs in areas that are impacted by like stormwater runoff or brownfields. There's particular species that they absorb these metals and things out of the soils. And she's worked with the communities. We've probably planted 5,000 or 6,000 trees and shrubs over the last few years. She's been involved in that project, coordinating with the communities as well. So it's a wide range of things that we work on, and it kind of depends on what's going on any particular day, what the needs are of the communities. We've also been, and this is while we try to do our best not to compete with the private sector, we offer reviews and assistance with zoning, and Karen has been spending probably a year now with Town in the Village of Mexico to work on zoning updates that they're doing together and a comprehensive plan that they're redoing. We've been probably 4 years with the town of Granby on similar types of activities. Their supervisor, John Snow, I think, he's been trying to kind of update the town on his own, and we've been helping him with that. We've done Oswego town zoning 2 or 3 times in the last decade. Pulaski, we just reviewed zoning amendments that they've been working on. So, we work with the code enforcement officers a lot, and kind of in between them and the local planning board when they bring issues to us. So it's a wide and varied list of things that the planners are involved in, and planning is a very generic term.
How much time, Dave, would you say the legislature will have once the census is in to determine the redistricting?
So off the top of my head, I can't tell you the time frame that we're required to present the redistricting, but you'll need to have this ready for the 2023 elections. And so if we don't get this till the end of 2021 or early 2022, depending on how much work needs to be done and how many times you have to tweak that, it could be well into 2022 before there's something to bring to you for final approval. And then you've got to have that all in place. You've got to coordinate with the state and local election districts, and the map has to be tweaked again to make it usable for the people at the Board of Elections. They have to get all their files ready. That usually involves a lot of new forms and depending on where the boundaries are, sometimes even changes in polling places. There's a lot that has to happen from the time you adopt your districts to the time that it's ready for people to actually go out and vote and where they collect their petitions. The impact is fairly large. So it's not so much how long is it going to take us, is do we have enough time in between when we get done and when the next election comes for all those other people to take what you've presented and make it work for them.
Mr. Chairman, I note that the Census Bureau originally wanted to have information to the states by end of March, and they sent out something saying it would now be distributed to the states by September 30th. So we don't know, sometime between March and September, the census data will be released.
Thanks, Rich. Go ahead, Marie.
Well, I mean, at that time, it seems like a really nice opportunity to take a long, hard look and decide, do we really need 25 legislators? It's a time to slim down and avoid gerrymandering type situation, maybe drop a postal code on it based on population, I don't know. But it certainly opens the opportunity for savings, streamlining.
Thank you, Marie. Ed, did you have a follow-up question?
I did wanted to comment. I had the pleasure to work with him in the planning department, and I appreciate getting copies of what's happening in our area. And I believe there's a high perceived value in having a professional, an expert, look at what's going on, advise some of these smaller communities that have limited planning and zoning resources. I think it brings a consistency. I know it's advisory only. However, there are certain aspects that we can require responses based on recommendations we make. And I would be in full support to even make that stronger, Dave, department, to help out these smaller communities particularly. So
Thank you, Ed. I want to echo that because I think you're right. There's a lot of benefit that we as kind of a centralized municipality have with the interactions that Dave's office in planning has with other municipalities. We can share best practices. We can, I don't want to say ensure a unique answer, but we can at least help advise that. And I would encourage any opportunity we as a county have to provide those services to our municipalities. And I'm hoping we do it more often. So I'm very thankful for the shared services we've been doing. Anytime we can look more into zoning enforcement, things that really help right size our housing stock and ensure that people are living in better conditions. Anything we can do as a county, I'm all for. So I agree with you there. Thank you, Dave.
The work that we do with the towns and villages, like the zoning and comprehensive plan work, literally would be thousands and thousands of dollars to a private contractor to come in and help them do that. So we see that as, one of our highest values that we can offer to residents.
Director Turner, did you have anything else? All right. Thank you very much for the update. I appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions for Dave? No? All right, great. Thank you, sir. And then I will move on to our guest, and I apologize for neglecting to introduce him when we started here. Austin Willock, Deputy Director at Operations Oswego County. I think that's close to the correct title. Apologize that I probably messed it up. But Austin, come on up and feel free to present. Appreciate you coming in today. You'll need to probably use that back microphone, I believe.
I apologize for anyone who's not here and not able to get it to you, but I can.
Roy, we'll get you that emailed over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so as Legislator Stahl said, my name is Austin Wheelock, Deputy Director at Operation Oswego County. I'm also the chair on the Next Great Idea Oswego County Business Plan Competition. Just to give you some information for those who may be new to this or who may have, it's been a few years since you've heard about it. This is a competition that was started in 2008. It was a collaboration between the private sector as well as economic development, community development, and other organizations that are kind of within that sort of that entrepreneurship ecosystem. So this competition is it's an innovative business plan competition developed to encourage, attract, and nurture business-minded people to locate or expand their business in Oswego County. And this is done by raising cash and in-kind service awards that will be provided to the finalists of a multi-stage competitive process by the Next Great Idea team. So a little information that I don't have in here that I'll give you guys. This started in 2008 as a $25,000 winner-take-all competition. From then, it's grown to $50,000 winner-take-all, and now this competition, we actually have $90,000 in prizes, $50,000 to the winner. We're going to have, I think it's $25,000 to second and $15,000 to third, and that's made up of a combination of cash and prizes, and that really came out of our steering committee, who helped to kind of show, hey, these other finalists put a lot of work in. It'd be good to get them something, and so we responded and grew the competition. So I also want to state, so why do this? Why put this effort together to do something? Well, a couple facts I want to tell you. So small businesses have created over two-thirds of all net new jobs in the U.S. since 2000. Everybody hears about the big businesses that come in. They're creating a third of jobs. The majority of all jobs that are created are small business. And then a subset of these, so gazelle companies. Gazelle companies are companies that grow. They double year over year for a period of at least 5 years. Those are companies that you want to have in your community. Those are the ones that, like I said here, they make up less than 1% of all new startups, but they contribute to 10% of net new job growth. And that's from the Kauffman Foundation. So those are the kind of companies that you want to have come to your community. So how do you do that? You got to get the best and the brightest to stay. And you got to try to nurture those businesses to stay here and not go somewhere else and create those jobs elsewhere. So I used to give, and I guess I'll give it here too. So an example of that, Tom Golisano in 1973 went to his boss at the time. He was working for a small payroll company and said, I have an idea that we could add a section of our company that would just focus on payroll for small to medium-sized companies. And his boss said, "You're crazy. That would never work." He went to his father, got a loan for $3,000, started Paychex, and now he's a billionaire. And he, at one point, employed over 12,000 people in the Rochester area. That was a Gazelle. Those are the kind of companies. Now, obviously, we're not going to have companies of that scale every time, but that's what the goal is. That's what you try to do. So, like I said, we aim to attract and keep the best and brightest in Oswego County. We're trying to develop a culture of entrepreneurism in Oswego County. So that's not just attracting people to create businesses. That's having people act as judges that are from our community, that are bankers, that are people who work out at SUNY Oswego, other business people, other entrepreneurs, to kind of help understand why we're doing this and kind of help to create this sort of ecosystem of entrepreneurship that's just not just the business people, but just the whole network. And then it's an investment into the economic future of Oswego County. If we can invest, like I said, every couple of years we were doing 25,000. If we can invest that, if we can now grow that to 50,000, if we can now grow that to 90,000, the companies that are spinning off out of this, not just the winners, but the other people who go through the process and develop business plans that maybe they wouldn't have done that before, they're now part of this, and they're all going to be creating jobs as well. So in terms of the NGI steering committee, you've got a couple of them here. Myself's on here, Tim Stahl here as well. He's on the committee. He's been on for the last couple rounds of the competition. But we have a good cross section of people from business, from education, and other organizations throughout the county. So I think we have a good cross section of people who are helping. This is, the steering committee is really the advisory board helping us to grow the competition and to make changes going forward. We have a good set of sponsors. really the Richard S. Shinneman Foundation has been a sponsor since, I believe, 2014. And they've helped us to grow the competition from where the 25 to where it is now. We also have a lot of other great partners, both that from within the county and outside, that have helped us to grow this. One of the cool things this time is that so Advanced Media New York, which is Syracuse.com, Post Standard, and New York Upstate, have helped us to put out a really big promotional campaign this time to try to grow outside of the county in terms of anyone can submit an application. You could be from Onondaga County, Cayuga County, but the money has to be spent here in Oswego County. That business has to come here, and that's something that I wouldn't do that if I wouldn't do this competition, put the time into it if we weren't doing that. So, but it's going to draw more people to here to start those businesses here that could potentially have started in Onondaga County or somewhere else. We're trying to bring outside investment here and outside talent here. In terms of past NGI winners, we try to do this competition every 2 years. We've had a couple kind of road bumps along the way that have pushed it out a little bit. This last time we were actually supposed to have this in 2020. COVID kind of happened right when we were submitting our grant application to Shinneman and kind of pushed that back. But if you look through, I mean, we've had people from manufacturing, we've had companies so Lakeside Artisans, which is now Riverside Artisans in downtown Oswego, that actually was a project that grew out of this. Wired Telecom over on the west side at Alberts, that was the last winner. So where are we now? So the competition officially kicked off on February 1st. The first major deadline is April 30th. So if you know anybody or you want to let anyone know about this competition, April 30th is the deadline to get me a business concept proposal. Business concept proposal is a fancy word for 1,000-word or less essay about what your project, what your business or service, the product or service is, your competition, why Oswego County, which is extremely important. You know, we want businesses that have an advantage to being here in Oswego County, so we're looking for ones that make sense to be here. From there, our judges are going to select semifinalists at the beginning of June. In September, September 1st, the business plans will be due. And then the beginning of November, around November 5th, the date is a little floating at this point. We're looking to do oral presentations at the Oswego Small Business Resource Center. Obviously, that's going to depend on if we can have events like that at that facility at that point. But if not, we have contingency plans. We can, do this with technology. We've learned how to use that pretty well over the last year. So it's a great initiative for Oswego County. I'm really proud of it. It's something I've been involved in since 2008, and we're really happy to see it grow from where it is to where it's now, and want to see it continue to grow in the future. So.
That's great, Austin. Thank you for that update. I would encourage everyone to share this wherever you can. There have been a number of projects that didn't initially win, but also did get to start up even without, and it really, sometimes people just need a nudge. So I've been really thankful for this program. We have a couple questions. Ed, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Austin. Thanks for coming in. I know it's hard to tell. We won't know until the applications are in, but what would your expectations be for the number of applicants?
Sure. So I can say that this round, I've had more interest. I've had more applications come in already by this point, and we're not, we're still 3+ weeks away from the deadline than we've ever had in a previous competition. I've had more people reach out asking questions about than I've had before. The most applications we had was, I believe we had 33 that were in by the deadline for the last time. It's hard to say. I'm imagining we're going to beat that though. I don't really know. I mean, I could say 40. I just don't know at this point until the deadline comes in. But I'm really excited because we've had more interest. We've had more, and I think partially because the prizes have gone up. I think partially because of the promotional campaign that we've done that is not just Oswego County looking outside. And I think that just with the time right now, I had people reaching out last year about it. We hadn't even announced it. When are you guys going to do it again? I've been out of work for a while. I've had time to really think of some things that I've always wanted to do, and now I have the opportunity to put time into that. So I'm optimistic about it, but I don't know. I mean, I'm excited to see how much though.
I just want to say I applaud that you have extended the winning instead of having
Yeah.
one winner takes all.
Yep.
This is much better, much
Yeah.
better. I said
Sure.
that a couple years ago. I said, why are you having just one? You need to. Very happy to see that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the top three at this point. So pretty much if you the finalists, there's gonna be three finalists. So if you're a finalist, you know you're gonna get something. You don't know how much you're gonna get, but you're gonna get something. So you're not gonna you won't leave unhappy. You may not be as happy, but it won't be where, last time we had 4 finalists, 1 left happy, the others weren't. So this
Yeah.
time everyone will be somewhat happy.
Perfect. Thank you.
And one of the other things that came out of it too is, when you get people putting these plans together, you get them on paper, you start to work their way through the next steps. And now you've got, 30 applicants, but maybe only 10 move on to the next stage, but those other 20 still have gotten closer to, potentially fulfilling their dreams. And there were a number I know over the last few years who've been able to take that next step, who maybe fell out of the contest, but the dream started moving forward.
Sure.
We've seen some of those come to pass too. So, and also one of the other cool things is that because of the members, you got these judges who are serving, their local bankers. They're, you start to get that connection, that network. And so when you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to put together a new business, getting even put in place in a connection with, accountants and attorneys and bankers and people who can help you see your dreams. That's one of the other things I think has been a really huge benefit, even for those who haven't won. So I really applaud this program. I think it's going to be excellent. I'm excited to see it. So
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Thank you. And I just wanted to say, Tim, you did mention, so really, in the past, we said there was one cash winner, but everybody was a winner who participated. I mean, there's been a lot of people who they have a good idea and it's kind of rattling around in their brain, but there's no motivation, there's no catalyst for them to take it and put it on paper. Well, this is that catalyst. This is the motivation to down, and really it gives them confidence too, because everybody who participates is going to get written feedback from the judges in terms of if you don't make it on, how you can improve that idea, and people that you can then talk to and that can mentor you to do that.
Great. All right. Any other questions for Austin? Thank you very much, Austin. I appreciate that. And we will make sure we're referring anyone we can think of to get those applications in. So,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you so much. Director Turner.
Sorry. You asked and I said there was nothing else. And when I sat down, I looked at the 2 maps that I had brought today to show you kind of some of the stuff we're doing with respect to analyzing the broadband. One of those is a population density map. And I brought that for a specific reason related to the broadband, but then we started talking about legislative districts. So if you are interested in understanding, why districts kind of look the way they do, you can see on this map very easily the population density throughout the county. And right now, with 25 districts, we have about 5,000 residents in each district. And if you want to take a look at the map afterwards, it's there, and you can kind of visualize where one district is small and over here, and the other one is sweeping and is many, many square miles. So that's there for your review if you'd like.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Phil, did you have any updates? Anything that you wanted to bring forward?
I'll give you an update on where the Marine Sanctuary is very quickly. The Advisory Council continues to meet. We are expecting federal publication of the Environmental Impact Statement and Management Plan in July, and then they will schedule public forums throughout the region on that, probably in August, September. Take that input, go back, finalize it. So we're looking at designation probably in 22.
That's wonderful. Phil, is there anything more on that? Obviously, we've had a little bit of a change on the federal level as far as leadership goes. Is there any reason to expect that anything changes, either positively or negatively with that?
No, I don't think so. And there seems to be support for it throughout NOAA and at the state level and locally. It hasn't wavered. We continue to meet as a government council plus the Citizen Advisory Council to keep everybody up to date and invested in this. And one of the projects that we put in for congressional funding would be a project that if we have designation, we can kick off right away and show a positive impact immediately. And that would be a virtual a virtual experience of the shipwrecks, bringing them to shore in various locations all around the arc of the lake where people can explore them remotely. And so we worked with NOAA to put that application together. And we hope it's successful because the congressman's been a big supporter of this. And one of the criteria is they wanted to look at projects that would augment current federal programs. So it's hopefully that'll.
That's great. Was there anything more on the federal park statuses of the fort? Have you heard anything more on that?
Other than, I believe the chairman had a conversation with the congressman that he feels that will be coming soon as well.
Exciting things here in Oswego. Anything else for the good of order? Anybody, any miscellaneous business? All right. If not, thank you all for, oh, thank you all for coming. I'll look for the motion to adjourn. Mel, there's a second. Ed, all in favor? All right. Aye. Thank you, everyone.